On this episode, Regional Sales Manager Danny Windings joins us today as we talk about the latest Ninth Circuit Court ruling on dicamba and what it means for all farmers. Ben also gives an update on crop progress and nutrients as we head into the month of June.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 45, season 2. Today we have Ben and Turk, and we have Danny from our Regional Sales Manager from Southern Illinois, also the Boot Heel, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Welcome, Danny.
Thanks, Joe.
You bet. Today we're going to start with Turk. You know, this was kind of a big week as far as some of the things going on in the area of dicamba applications. So, Turk, I'll let you take it away.
Well, Joe, the big news this week was the Ninth Circuit Court in California vacated the registration of XtendiMax, Ingenia, and Flexipan, the three herbicides that are labeled for application over Xtend soybeans post-emergence, or pre-emergence. And that vacated, which effectively made those herbicides illegal to sell or use. And from what I can read from many sources, that it's not just to sell it illegal to buy it, but illegal to mix it or spray it in any area. Even the farmers are supposed to abide by this court ruling. So it's a really big deal. I think Bob Hartzler from Iowa State said it best. This decision is either 2 days or 2 years too early, or 1 month, or 2 years too late, or 1 month too early. So it's a lot of people are trying to get their dicamba herbicides, these three different products, sprayed right now. We're approaching the end of the spray date in Illinois and several other states of June 20th, and so it's really bad timing for those folks that have bought in Xtend soybeans. So,
we talked about this case several months ago on Cup of Joe, and we were telling you it wasn't going well, and I think the industry kind of thought that it's a very liberal court, and it's the same court that banned Roundup Ready alfalfa initially, because they said the EPA didn't do their due diligence in bringing that product to market, and of course it took years later before Roundup Ready alfalfa was available. So same court, kind of a no-win situation when it comes to anything in the agriculture, particularly anything that can help farmers. So it's a bad day. I mean, I know that's, let's face it, Xtend soybeans and dicamba applications are a direct competitor to what we think is the right way to do things. But at the end of the day, the farmers have to kill their weeds and they have to survive, and we're all in this industry together, and so they will be going after 2,4-D next. There's no question about it, because they're both auxins, and that's the concern we have right now is if they knock dicamba off its perch, they'll be going after 2,4-D. And once they knock 2,4-D off, then which herbicide next? Mm-hmm. So all of us in this industry got to pay close attention to what's going on the East Coast and West Coast, because they're going to tell us what we can and cannot do here on our farms. And I know the EPA has not laid things out yet, exactly interpreted this rule and this court ruling, and they still have that to do yet. So I'm sure Bayer Monsanto will be appealing that, but the registration is expiring end of this year. I mean, this was the last spring that you could do it. They'd have to renew it. So, what's the future look like?
Yeah, they can appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they did with Roundup alfalfa, if you remember, and they lost in that appeal with Roundup Ready alfalfa. But at some point here, we have to consider that this could be a way of the future, and how are we going to control weeds? moving forward if we continue to go down this path and let the liberal courts tell us what we're going to do. I did want to say that there is a probability that they could this fall register these three products for pre-emergence only, and so that's kind of what we figured would happen, is they would allow this season to be sprayed, and then this fall they would register this, have a new registration for these three products, pre-emergence only. We know that Bayer Monsanto is coming out with Extend Flex, which is got the Liberty trait in it, so they'd be able to spray Liberty pre-emergence and come back post with Liberty. But I don't know where this is going to go. I worry that this ruling could do away with these three products permanently, and possibly more. Right now, there is one product that wasn't covered under this. That's Tavium from Syngenta, and it's still legal to spray. But
that form of dicamba.
It's similar to Extendamax, Flexipan, and Ingenia. But again, I'm sure there's not enough supply of that for everybody to switch to that. So I really don't know until we see what EPA demands the retailers and all do, because in the past, in decisions similar to this, they had to go out and pick up any product that was delivered to farmers that wasn't used.
Correct. That's what we had to do on Roundup Ready alfalfa. When the court ordered that it could not be planted, we had to go out and recover every bag and bring it back, and then quarantine it, and then send it back to the supplier. And I think it sat in their cold storage buildings for 3 years or so before
3 to 4.
Before they allowed it to be planted again. So, and then plus the hay from it had to be quarantined from being exported to outside the United States. It was a mess. So all I can tell you is it's not getting any easier to be a farmer. I mean, it's just getting tough.
Joe, on the approval process with Corteva, with the Enlist program, they did things a little differently when they got the EPA approval, compared to what Monsanto Bayer did with the Extendamax product. Am I right in that? So, I mean, they did a little bit more thorough testing and a little cleaner process, I guess you could say, right? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that, and Ben, chemistry-wise, 2,4-D and dicamba are in the same family group of herbicides, but they react differently. Dicamba is systemic, 2,4-D is contact. They're both auxins, but Dow Chemical at the time, who was our partner in MS Technologies, was responsible for the registration of the 2,4-D gene, as is referred to out in the industry, and they did a really bang up job as far as making sure, they talked to the tomato folks. They did a lot of work to bring that product to market to make sure it was not volatile, it wasn't going to have this drift issue and have some of the problems we have. The biggest difference between the two products are, we've had both of them in the marketplace now for over a year, and we don't have the complaints with the 2,4-D, and thus it would be totally reckless application. The physical drift would be the concern, but we're not seeing the volatilization. Now, obviously, we're going to put more on this year, and this could be different, but I don't anticipate, based on the homework that's been done by Dow now, which is now Corteva, I don't expect any problems. I mean, I really don't. I think they've been extremely careful to make sure that this product is going to stay home and do what it's supposed to. We did all kinds of tests ourselves. We planted tomato plants, sprayed the product, and because tomato plants are highly susceptible to 2,4-D, sprayed the product, tomato plants right next door, no problems. I mean, no problems at all. We did that, 3 or 4 years ago at Techport, didn't we?
Yeah.
And showed farmers who came to that field day that this is a very stable product. So I don't think we have as much to worry about. as what the Dicamba product was and in the marketplace. So I think we're going to be fine, but you got to be looking over your shoulder with the activists that are out there right now, and what they want on what's on their agenda. I mean, you better be careful.
I'm sure the lawsuit that Bader had and the effect on the environment had a lot to do with this decision as well. As a matter of fact, they talked about it in the decision quite a bit, and so
the Bader was the peach tree orchard that got destroyed by Dicamba. At least it was what $250 million award. So I mean, it just shockwaved the whole industry on that one, and now here's another shockwave. So it's kind of been nothing but bad news for the last few months when it comes to Dicamba.
a lot of new information come out about how the registration was done and all of that in that court case.
Yep.
And at Bader that I'm sure the judges looked at as well. So bottom line here is stay tuned, be careful, because if there's a bunch of Dicamba complaints this year after this court ruling, they will know that the majority of them were off-label use, which means that farmers will not comply and use it correctly, and so it could just go away permanently. That's what I'm concerned about.
They're going to paint the American farmer as a reckless, herbicide-using, crazy person, and that's far from the reality. But farmers who do apply off-label, they have no liability insurance. You're going to be totally financially responsible. It is a restricted use herbicide. I mean, you're going to have to rely on your application dates and all this stuff, and you just don't want to be in a courtroom and they ask you under oath, did you do this or did you? You just don't want to put yourself in that position where you have to answer a question that makes you very uncomfortable. So this is serious business. This is serious business.
But Danny, you've actually been getting some phone calls from people that are wanting to switch out down there in your area, haven't you?
Yeah, we've had several phone calls, the guys and around in the South and everything that, we're coming up on a spray date here in Southern Illinois, anyhow, but, we still got weed on, and this is making some decisions easy for some farmers to really back up on some of their plans that they had about using Xtend soybeans and switching out to Enlist. We've really covered up down here with phone calls and a lot of questions, and but I give kudos to Heston and Zach down there at R&D. Man, they are turning out some beans, and we're doing it in a short time. So we're really coming through and trying to help the farmer and do what they want to do, and we're there for them if they need us, for sure.
Ben, we've got a pretty good supply of Enlist soybeans to sell yet too, if somebody does want to do that.
Yep.
If they haven't planted their Xtend soybeans yet and want to switch for Enlist, we have supply.
Yep. We're sitting very, very, very good right now on supply of the Enlist and the LL GT27, so we can pivot very easily for what the demands are.
Yep.
And there's a lot of areas in Missouri that haven't planted yet. I know we were talking to one of our customers down by St. Louis, and he says it's worse this year than last year because it's so wet. He's not getting the rivers out of the banks, but he's just getting constant rain. So there's still a lot of first plant soybeans in Missouri. So we haven't seen a big, huge switch at this point, but as it dries up, we might see it. So we'll be prepared for it. Danny, do you have anything else that you'd like to add about any subject as far as from the Southern's perspective?
Oh, I tell you, Joe, with kind of April, we started out strong. It's kind of like I've been telling guys, it's kind of like a horse race. When they open the gates and the bell goes off, the horses go out strong, and we got about halfway around the track. We all stumbled and fell because May was all wet and cool, and kind of put us in a damper spot there. But June's come out strong. This past June, the 1st of June, these planters are rolling strong, and we've gotten some dry weather where the temperatures are good, and we're getting across some acres, and we're doing well down here. So shouldn't be too much longer. We'll be finishing up on this crop. So yep, we're staying on it.
Well, I know Ben talked about last week about some of the problems we've seen. That May 1st, 2nd planting date was a killer up here because we went followed by snow and then a frost really hurt our plants. But they're responding and they're coming back. And I know you've been out, Ben. Tell us what's going on out there. You've been in the cornfields and the bean fields.
Yep. So definitely that date has held true. As we go north a little bit, it slides into like the 7th, 8th, and 9th because they got down to like 26 degrees in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. We were on some bean fields where we were trying to figure stuff out yesterday. So that date kind of slides around, but it's definitely the beginning part of May that we were struggling with. We do that soil testing, nitrate testing here locally for customers that buy Stein corn, and I've gotten the first set of results in, and kind of what I'm seeing off of if you applied 100 pounds of anhydrous last year, or around that 100 pounds, we're looking at anywhere from 70 to 85 pounds is what transitioned back into this spring. So we lost a little bit.
Last fall's application.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Last fall's application of 100 pounds. We've seen, we lost a little bit of N over the winter, and I kind of anticipated that because we have had a little excessive rain in the month of May and for denitrification and leaching and things of that sort. For products that, for like pre-plant purposes, you put 70 pounds down, that entire 70 pounds is there. I think we're comfortable with all the nitrogen that's put on this spring, and there's definitely going to be enough there to pass that along. So I don't have any concerns like where we were at last year.
Yeah, last year, I mean, when you looked last year and tested with that Soil Scan 360 device, what did you find last year, a year ago?
Last year I was testing at a foot and at a 2-foot increment and then at a 3-foot increment, and if there was any nitrogen left, it was at a 3-foot increment, and there's no way the plants were going to catch up to the what was there. We were looking at half to a quarter of what was even applied in spring before all the rain and the monsoons and,
Wow.
and before we were getting to this point here in June, because it's about the same time as what I was testing last year.
Okay.
So if you're going to get your nitrogen applied, now would be the time to be doing it. The corn's growing really fast. We're seeing 90-degree temperatures. That corn, you can't even recognize it from what it looked like a week ago. So
I see a lot of side dress bars are running right now,
absolutely, if
putting
it's
on
not
liquid
raining.
and
Yeah, if it's not raining, they're running. So we're seeing positive things come out of that realm of thing. I just kind of wanted to touch on the dicamba thing. Remember that we do have good supply. We're going to have good supply next year. We don't see any issues with on the enlist side of things, just from my perspective, because they had the ability to have university testing on the enlist. We had it in the United States a lot longer than we had dicamba, so we've had seed production a lot longer because the U.S. Label got approved on the beans ahead of time. So I'm comfortable with where we're at. I've looked at the seed production numbers for next year. I think that we are going to be sitting in a very, very good spot, even though we didn't know this was going to be happening with where our plans were at, because we were anticipating a good amount of growth for next year, regardless of whether the dicamba thing was what decision they were going to make on the dicamba re-registration.
Yeah, I concur with you, Ben. Supplies are going to be acceptable, good. I think the thing that we have to look at now, if we have lost the ability to put dicamba over top of Xtend soybeans for 2021, where's that put everything on seed supply for next year? And right now, almost all the companies have voted. I mean, they put their seed production out. It's in the ground. I mean, it's really going to be hard to switch around and find acres that you can increase on. The flex soybeans we're expected to come on strong for next year, so that's going to be Monsanto Bayer's new product, which is Liberty, Roundup, and dicamba. However, this is my opinion, and what I would warn farmers thinking about going on that direction is be very, very careful on the selection of your varieties if you plan to do a flex soybean next year, because basically they're going to have to put all hands on deck to get the numbers, because that's the way it works the first year out. And there's some products in there that you would normally kind of cringe a little bit, in other words, for the yield potential. So I think you just be careful. And I think that's true whenever you select anybody's soybean variety, be careful. We have a good experience with the Enlist and with the LLGT27 soybeans. They're more a mature product now compared to a Flex, so we've got some great products, great yielders, and the little that was in the university yield trials last year was right at the top. I mean, just coming right out of the gate. And the big difference is in the Enlist E3, it's a single gene insertion, and with the Flex product, they're doing it again. They're going to do a breeding cross, and when they do that, it's a slower process to bring good traits forward. So this is probably going to be the year that you'd want to order early before harvest. And the reason why is to get the right variety that you want. As far as the percentages on how things are going to work out, I think there's going to be enough soybean seed of Flex and of Enlist E3 if you order early. But if you're kind of a late buyer, you may find everything picked over. So recommend as soon as companies come out with their prices, which is usually around August 1st, get a reasonable order in. Don't overbuy. Get what you need, and make sure you understand how Merchant Seeds does business. We produce what you order. So if you order twice as much as what you need to thinking, well, I'll get cut back 50%, you're going to get twice as much as what you need. You're going to get what you order. We don't like to play the shell games where we say, we're going to come back and allocate you back. We will deliver what you order. So let's just do it once, do it right, be efficient, keep the cost down, and for everybody, for the buyer and for the producer, and we'll come out of this thing in great shape. So that's my 2 cents on this whole thing is order before harvest this year. It's August, by September 15th, I'd have my order in, because not only are you going to save a lot of money, you're going to get the best varieties too. So the smart farmer, the farmer who makes the most money, always plans ahead. So this is the year you want to plan ahead. So that brings me to conclusion, and that's the joke of the day. And this one is about a rich woman who thought she had a perfect husband, okay? Here's how it goes. Several men were in the locker room of the local gym when the cell phone on the bench rang, and a man put it on speaker and began to talk. Everyone in the room stopped to listen in. The man says, "Hello." And the woman on the other end says, "Hi, honey, it's me. Are you at the club?" And the man says, "Yes." The woman says, "I'm at the shops now, and I found a beautiful leather coat. It's only $2,000. Is it okay if I buy it?" The man says, "Sure, go ahead if you like it that much." The woman said, "Well, I also stopped by the Lexus dealership and saw a new model. I really like this one." The man says, "How much?" The woman says, $90,000. The man says, "Okay, but for that price, make sure it has all the options." The woman says, "Great. Oh, one more thing. I was talking to the realtor, and that house that I just really wanted that was on the market and then went off the market, well, it came back on the market. And they're asking $980,000 for it. I would really like to have that house." The man says, "Well, go ahead and make an offer of $900,000. They'll probably take it. If not, we can go the extra $80,000 if you really want it." The woman says, "Okay, I'll see you later. I love you so much." The man said, "Bye. I love you too." The man hung up. The other men in the locker room were staring at him in astonishment, mouths wide open. He turned to them and said, "Hey, anybody know whose phone this is?" Well, anyhow, be careful with those cell phones out there, guys. Don't just let them sit around.
Yep.
Hopefully we won't have as much excitement as we have this week, but as always, we'll be looking out for you, and we appreciate your business. And thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you next week. Take care.